Hello there and welcome once again to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. We're here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues. And today we welcome in a guest who's not been on our show yet today, but I'm looking forward to it.
The Honorable Todd Russ, the State Treasurer of the state of Oklahoma, is our guest. He has not been on yet, but we're really glad to catch him now on New Year's Eve, as it turns out, when the show will air. He's got an awfully big job. It's dealing with huge sums of money, and we're going to let him tell us the pros and cons of doing that.
And the money belongs to our audience, so they ought to be interested.
Yeah, it's your money. Yeah, we entitled this show, What's New with Your Money?
State Treasurer Todd Russ, today's guest in The Verdict. We'll be right back.
Right now, 6 feet can feel like a long ways away. But from 6 feet, we can still smile at each other. From our doorways and our stairways, from opposite sides of the street and opposite sides of the country. Through fear and frustrations, we can remind each other that we are still here for each other. Because we can still smile at each other. And we're not going anywhere.
Military service ran in my blood, starting from my father, which joined the Navy, on the Chickasaw side, my uncle, which served in the United States Army. I'm Benjamin Espinosa, Chief Petty Officer, United States Navy, and I'm Chickasaw. I went to the Secretary of Defense's staff at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., which ultimately led to becoming a combat support technician for Naval Special Warfare, specifically SEAL Team 10. I think to be proud and to love your tribe, to love being Chickasaw, you also have to love being American. You also have to love everything that America stands for. Equality, perseverance, professionalism, and power. I want my family to know that their father is a good person, but also feels that he has an obligation to the country and to love this nation. Anything worth having is worth dying for. The military and the country owes me nothing. I owe it everything.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
We're back on the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett, Kent Meyers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Well, as we said in the open, our guest today is the Honorable Todd Russ, the State Treasurer of the state of Oklahoma. Todd did his undergraduate work at Southwestern Oklahoma State University, where he majored in finance. He also attended and graduated from the Colorado School of Banking, because that's where his interest took him, into banking. He's been in the banking industry 30 plus years, has been very, very successful there, and acquired a great deal of knowledge about finance, both large and small finance. He is the president and CEO of the Ouachita State Bank of Burns Flat, Oklahoma. He is on the board or has been on the board of directors of the Oklahoma Bankers Association, and moreover, for 12 years, he got experience in the Oklahoma House of Representatives and had a sterling career there until he was term limited out, and it went meshed very nicely with his finance background in his campaign for state treasurer. As Mick pointed out, he won handily in that race, and we're sure pleased to say a belated congratulations, but welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you very much. Good to be here.
A lot of good people from western Oklahoma.
Yeah, sure are. A lot of good people all across Oklahoma, and glad to be from western Oklahoma, and glad to be here today.
Talk about your banking years in western Oklahoma. What type of loans did your bank usually partake in?
You know, most of my career was community banking, small community bank, rural community, involved in agriculture loans a lot, but we also did a lot of consumer loans, residential loans, real estate loans, commercial loans. The great thing about a small community bank is you get to wear a lot of hats. I mean, the responsibilities of about everything land in your plate when you're in a small community bank. And I lived the American dream. I started at the very bottom and ended up getting some great opportunities, and God smiled on me and ended up getting to buy a bank and was the president and CEO. I'm not currently the president and CEO, but I was for many years. Ended up selling my stock, but it was a great experience. Just went through, when I was a kid starting out of high school and college, we went through the 90s, the boom, the bust, the bomb days, and was a traumatic time, a very impressionistic time for a young kid wanting to go into finance. I wanted to go into finance, and all the banks were failing. It was like you can't hardly get a job, and there's not hardly a bank to get a job. But anyway, I ended up getting to get into finance and banking and went through a lot of those tough times. My first jobs were compliance reporting and the things that you had to do with the regulators on deficiencies and things that which we all had, because if either you had deficiencies you were working out or you had failed as a bank. They'd closed a lot of banks. So I got to have some really unusual experience in credit ratings, lots of different things. And then as I moved on up into leadership role in banking, I just had a great background that's carried me to this point.
You must have enjoyed the House of Representatives. You kept pursuing re-elections after re-election. What did you think the people of Western Oklahoma were sending you to the Capitol to accomplish?
The people of Western Oklahoma are, for the most part, pretty conservative, and they it's based on values, very humble values of all sorts. But they wanted me to look out for them and look out for conservative spending practices and behaviors, and how we spend the money and take care of the people, and was honored to do that.
Yeah. In your House of Representative years, what counties were in your district?
They have redistricting. About the time you get going real well, they redistrict, and that's kind of happened to me a couple of times almost. But I started out with about 5 counties, went all the way into Canadian County, had about half of El Reno, and then they redistrict a couple years later, took me all the way out of the eastern part of my district and literally flip-flopped me back all the way to the Texas border, and just double my district when it comes to representing different areas. Yeah. I lost the front end, but they added a new district in the back. So I had Ouachita, Kiowa, Roger Mills, Beckham, part of Greer, and then I'd also had part of Caddo, part of Canadian at one time. So I've represented about all of Southwest Oklahoma.
Well, I guess that means that you met a lot of folks out there. You know an awful lot of those folks, and you know how they think and what's important to them, and you carried that to the legislature every time it met.
Yes, absolutely. It was about the people.
Yeah. Now, in your work as state treasurer, I guess you don't lose those memories or knowledge. You just carry it to a larger stage, if you will. Yeah. And I presume your background is anchored toward the same kind of strong principles those people had that you learned about when you were a representative.
Yes, absolutely. And, going across the state of Oklahoma in a statewide election, it really, you just build off of where you came from, and you understand the people, and we're Oklahomans are, very warm, friendly people, easy to get to know and understand, and it's easy to move across the state and feel like you're part of any corner of the state, because we're all Oklahomans, and it was a great pleasure.
One of the responsibilities of the state treasurer is to deal with unclaimed property. Talk about unclaimed property, and I guess part of our audience may not even know what that means. What are we talking about when we talk about unclaimed property, and what is the treasurer's role in all of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The treasurer basically is the bank CEO for the state of Oklahoma, but that also includes managing an entire division north of the Capitol, up in the northern part of Oklahoma City, for unclaimed property, and we are basically the lost and found for the state of Oklahoma and the citizens of Oklahoma. So, and it's not really leftover tax dollars. It's all the private property type things, the personal assets of people in the states that most people would never imagine. I mean, it can be a lot of unique things that gets sent to the state treasurer's office, and it goes into the unclaimed property division, and it's left there for us to manage and take care of.
And are you supposed to find all these people that have unclaimed property?
We try hard. That's our goal, but it is a complicated process. The reason we have it is nobody else could find them. So we're taking the leftovers of the search and research and trying to do a more thorough application of that process. And we're dealing with a lot of estates, a lot of lost and extended family members, unusual items that may be hard to really figure out how to proceed with. Firearms, what are the processes you have to take with firearms? I mean, you have to really be cautious about the process and procedures, as well as being able to achieve the objective of getting that property back to the right owners, and it is complicated.
Talk about the process that one would go through to find out if they had any property that they may be entitled to that is unclaimed.
So, I would say the first thing to do would be get on the website, yourmoney.ok.gov, and that's a great place to go. It's pretty easy, yourmoney.ok.gov. And
do you all administer that website?
We do, yeah. And that will take them to a link for unclaimed property. They can go in and put their name in and do a search, and it will give them some basic information. We have to be a little bit cautious about some parameters that we offer publicly. We don't actually tell an exact amount of the value of the property because of a lot of potential fraud and different things that people may nefariously want to do that do this all the time for wrong reasons. And then they can find out if they have a claim, and then submit the claim, and then we'll verify they are who they say they are. I will tell you, a lot of people get on there and they are not who they say they are, and are very crooked, nefarious people. And we have to kind of work through that process, but we do a good job of it, and we do give a lot of money back to Oklahomans, but we have a whole lot more to do.
All right. Todd Russ is the Oklahoma State Treasurer. We've been talking about unclaimed property. We're going to get into 529 and some other aspects of his office. It's coming up next on The Verdict.
That went fast.
At Whitten Burridge, we're litigators. That's all we do. All of our clients, some sort of wrong has occurred to them. We try to right that wrong. Corporate America, they have all the power. It's sort of like going against an army. I like helping the underdog. That's what gets me up out of bed every day.
Our success rate is phenomenal, but that's not all they get. We care about people.
I'm very proud of what we've been able to do for our clients, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to do in the future. There's still a lot of wrongs that need to be righted.
OU Law has a history and heritage that are unparalleled. At the University of Oklahoma College of Law, we empower our students to pursue the career of their dreams. We have the highest U.S. News ranking ever achieved by an Oklahoma law school. We are the first law school in the country to launch a college-wide digital initiative. And this year, our competition teams ranked number 2 in the nation. OU Law, generations of excellence, limitless possibilities.
When I came to work for the ODVA, I started realizing the opportunity to take care of veterans. It's a powerful thing when you realize that you are taking care of people that made history.
Working here is a calling. It's really, really important that they don't just come here to exist. We want to give them meaning to their lives. We try to make life happy and meaningful and fulfilled for our veterans.
We're back on The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers and our guest, State Treasurer Todd Russ.
Todd, we didn't quite finish, I think, talking about unclaimed property. Give our viewers the size of the pot of money or wealth that you administer under that program.
Yeah, thank you for letting me tell the people just how much is in there. It's astonishing. There is actually over $1 billion. That's billion dollars in Oklahoma's personal property and things that they've mislocated, and we're trying to give that money back to them. So you can tell there's a lot of work and a lot of things that come into the State Treasurer's Office and unclaimed property that we need to get back to the people. We return back anywhere from 35 to 50 million a year, but you can see we're just barely putting a dent into it, and we work really hard. We do a lot to advertise and get that out.
Is there any time limit? I'm sorry. Is there any time limit? I mean, if today I have an asset that's valuable, but I don't know about it and I don't ask, and I don't for another 30, 40 years, is there any time period when my rights are cut off and the property goes to the state or something like that?
That's a great question. In the state of Oklahoma, there is no time limit. It is a obligation in perpetuity.
And that's
for
not
Oklahoma.
true everywhere.
That's
is
right.
it?
Some states have a statute of limitations, but in Oklahoma, we recognize that liability. They say you can't take it to heaven with you, but I'm not sure unclaimed property applies.
One of the other things the state of Oklahoma tries to do is to encourage parents and other interested parties to invest in higher ed, and they have a program called 529. I think most people are vaguely aware of it, but how does your office interact with that, and what can you tell people that might not know enough to engage?
Yeah, Oklahoma 529, it used to be a college savings plan, College 529, but we've actually broadened that to where you can use it for almost any education purpose. And so we've actually changed that to Oklahoma 529 and expanded the use of it. It's become very popular. It's been highly used. We actually hit our $1 billion in disbursements this year, historic record level. Wow. So parents and family members have found great value in being able to invest in Oklahoma 529 for education purposes in the state of Oklahoma.
Now, how does that actually happen? What does an individual do to become a 529 investor?
So that is actually administered through the State Treasurer's Office. We partner with a national program, and they help us administer that. There's a website called oklahoma529.com that all that information is available and easy to find. It's interesting when you look at how many people actually access and utilize the online applications for that versus writing paper checks or doing it by mail. It's pretty high tech and highly valued from a technological standpoint. So oklahoma529.com gets them that information, has some tremendous value for people investing in that. They can actually get a great tax benefit from that if they use it for those purposes. There's no tax on it. We're working on something at the federal level. They're looking at actually allowing, if a family member over contributes and has some left over, they're worried that, well, I don't want to just lose that money and be tied up if I don't use it the rest of it. So we're looking at partnering with a program to let them roll that into an IRA or something so they don't lose that investment. You get the tax incentives by investing that into the program, non-taxable. If you got in a situation where you actually pulled some of that out or had some left right now and you didn't use it for the purposes intended, there is about a 10% fee, but from a tax perspective, that could be a bargain anyway if you're in the 20-25% bracket. So it's a very fair program, puts you into a first-class investment program, gives you 2 or 3 options on what level of risk that you want in your yields, and it's worked really well.
When should a family start thinking about maybe 529 ought to be on our Christmas list this year?
Oh, that is a fantastic question, because the sooner that a family can start, the better it'll be for them, the more discipline they'll have, and the hardest time in the world is when they just maybe get married or start or have that family, and money's tight and it's so hard to find any extra money to contribute. But if they can just make themselves open the account, take $15, $20, $30, $50 and open the account, they'll find out that grandpa and grandma and aunts and uncles may want to help contribute to that. And in 10 years, they will be shocked how fast that goes.
That'd be a good Christmas gift.
Yeah, if they get in it early enough, they can literally double what the returns would be for someone that gets in halfway through. So the incentive is to get in early, get the account open up. You may not can do it every month, but try to do something, and it will be a great benefit to your family going forward.
One of the other responsibilities of the Treasurer's Office is to invest the state's resources. How do you decide how to do that, and how much money are we talking about?
You know, Oklahoma has been so blessed in the last few years. I will tell you, in my political year, the year I came in as a freshman legislator, we were $700 million short. We went through several years of being short, and had a lot to do with the energy industry at that time. Oklahoma's economy wasn't as large as it is now. We weren't as diverse as we are now. Oklahoma is just a hidden gem, and I think the secret's out because people are moving here like crazy. But we went through a lot of struggles trying to get our feet underneath us financially, and we came up with an energy stabilization plan where we don't spend all the money when we get it, and when we don't get it, we don't have it. We smooth that out on a 5-year average so we can get through those highs and lows, and Oklahoma's done really, really well. And we brought in a lot of great industry. And our economy, in 1996, Oklahoma spent $3.6 billion to run its state government. We spent about $12 billion last year, and we'll probably spend about $12 billion this coming year. So that gives you kind of an idea of the different Oklahoma we're in today. The state treasurer actually has about $15 billion, maybe over $15 billion that's waiting to be spent, and that's kind of a revolving number right now. Mm-hmm. It's gone from 12 to 13 billion. Now we're at about over 15 billion, and we will invest that and get good returns on it. You know, the interest rates have been very, very favorable in the last year for a treasurer, and I like to take credit for being really smart, but sometimes, you know, luck is just as good. We made about $50 million on one area that will probably turn into about $270 or $80 million this next year on those investments. So it's been a really good climate for revenue, and we invest that in very conservative types of products. We have some restrictions statutorily on what the treasurer can invest taxpayers' dollars in. So we invest heavily into treasurers, U.S. bonds. We can do some mortgage-backed securities, but it's a pretty conservative. We can do some money market stuff, and right now that's paying incredibly well. So it's been a lot of fun. It's amazing dealing with, you know, billions of dollars, and Oklahoma having $15 billion right now is pretty exciting.
Yeah. We got about 45 seconds left. What do you want people to know about the Treasurer's Office?
You know, the Treasurer's Office is there to take care of the taxpayer's dollar, and safety and soundness is the number one thing that we're concerned about. But we also want that money to perform well, and we want to engage with the service providers and other banks and lenders that do business with us to be fair about that pricing. And it's my job to make sure that we're getting the best price and the best service for the people. And they're welcome to call. We're there as their servant to watch over their money.
Yeah, and you have a website, and you'd probably encourage people to interact there.
Yes, we do.
I'll give the information on that before we head out.
Yeah, treasurerok.gov.
Yeah, well, it's such a great opportunity for people to get to know you a little better, and thanks for your service to the state. It's pretty lengthy. We appreciate it.
Well, it's an honor.
Appreciate it very much.
Such an honor. Thank you.
Todd Russ is the Oklahoma State Treasurer. Kent and I'll have a final word when we get back.
This is the epidemic of my generation. This is my HIV. This is my Black Plague.
In the midst of one of our state's largest crises,
Oklahomans are dying from this preventable and treatable disease on a daily basis.
we believe there's hope.
That little pill will cause destruction through your whole life.
Watch the entire award-winning 9-part docuseries Killing Pain, made available by Fighting Addiction Through Education at killingpain.com.
It used to be okay in teachers' lounges. It used to be okay in maternity wards. It was okay in sporting arenas, college campuses, and office spaces. But now that we understand the deadly dangers of secondhand smoke, that's not okay anymore. So why is it okay that thousands of employees are exposed to it every day at work? Bottom line, it's not okay. Let's protect hardworking Oklahomans. Join the fight at stopswithme.com.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
I think for us, once we got started and we began to see the tremendous need just within our state, it really was just a calling for us. The blessings far outweigh any obstacles that we've faced.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
Wrapping up the show with Todd Russ, the Oklahoma State Treasurer. His office does so many things that touch individual Oklahomans that I don't know a lot of people realize the importance of that office and all of the responsibilities that it comes with.
Well, it is astounding how much in the way of funds they have to administer. You know, it isn't a constitutional or legislative requirement that a state treasurer be a banker or have experience in finance, but it's certainly, he does. He has it in spades, and I'm sure it benefits him every day in what he has to do.
Yeah, I think the community banking aspect of his resume is very, very important.
Yeah.
Because he's
and by
touched
community
a lot
banking,
of people's lives.
You're talking about smaller bank that deals with a lot of individual folks.
That's absolutely. Yeah. So his office deals with 529, the educational program, and also unclaimed property. So I urge you to go to their website and get familiar with it. It's oklahoma.gov/treasurer. That's oklahoma.gov/treasurer. And we appreciate Todd Russ coming on the show. We'll see you next week.